Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has announced his election pledge to make all teenagers either spend a year in the military or doing unpaid voluntary work in the community. And now a Foreign Office Minister, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, hasn't ruled out fines for adults if their teenagers refuse to take part. Now, she said that young people volunteering for the military would not be sent to fight, but they would be taught practical and soft skills. So if young people don't want to do this, is it fair to fine their parents? Matt, I'll start with you.
Very good to see you. What a shambles this is. I just remind viewers that last Thursday, when Rishi Sunak called the election, a government minister was asked whether or not the government had any plans to bring in national service. And the government minister said there were no plans to bring in national service of any sort. A few days later, we get this sort of dead cat flung into the room of the general election. A great distraction. It feels to me like it is policy that is being invented on the back of an envelope. Specifically, how utterly crazy the idea of fining a parent for something that their adult child has done. It makes absolutely no sense to me. The whole point of becoming an adult, of reaching the age of 18, is you are then responsible entirely for yourself. So if you then don't do something that is mandatory, which is what we're told this scheme is going to be, why on earth should your parents foot the bill? But then it raises the question, if you don't find the parents, what do? They've ruled out criminalisation, which would be even more bonkers. But you don't want to be fining 18-year-olds for not compulsorily, as it were, volunteering. What a start to adulthood. What is the message that this Conservative government is sending our young people, which it has routinely, in my view, failed again and again and again over the last 14 years?
But then other nations do it, Wilfred, and we are a sort of unusual state in foreign politics.
The idea of a national service is a fantastic idea. I think that it's the best thing that could happen. And I'll tell you why. I employ people. And one of the big challenges that I have is that a lot of young people are just not ready for the world of work. When you're at home, you are protected. The biggest problem that we have in our society at the moment is that more and more young people are living at home. And home is a haven. It isn't the real world. It's not until you go out into the real world you get a sense of yourself and your independence. And I just think that the parents are failing to prepare their children for the real world. And therefore, if there's a system where they could actually learn about the real world, that will take the burden from the parents, and that'd be a good thing for society. For a lot of kids, they only start to learn to be independent when they go to university. Look at all those kids that never have a chance to go to university. So I'm saying it's a fantastic idea. I think that it should be 2 years rather than 1 year. I don't mind whether it's military or whether it's something working for the farming. Farmers could do with a lot of young people coming to help on farms or in the NHS. I think that what we need to do is a lot more in preparing our young teenagers for the real world, because they're brought up to think that they're owed a living, that they have a fanciful idea about what work is all about. And the liberals with this namby-pamby ideas about protecting. Even in nature, the adults know they've got to push their child.
Where is this idea? Where is your evidence? Where's your data, Wilfred?
My evidence is I employ people like that all the time. My evidence, my own children.
And the people, why are you employing people who think they're owed a living?
But it's where the
You're
society...
employing the wrong people, surely.
But I'm sorry, no, it's about choice that you have. The problem that we have at the moment is that a lot of young people feel that the world of work means I get up in the morning and I've done a day's work.
You keep saying a lot of people, and then you're telling me your evidence is the people you employ. I suggest to you you're employing the wrong people.
Well, I'm telling you...
Because I don't feel I'm owed a living. I never felt I was owed a living.
But you're not Gen Z.
Exactly.
And you're not 18 now. So the idea is that the younger generation, Wilfred is saying, feel like
this is anecdotal, and it's dangerous to base policy around anecdotes.
No, it's based on the fact that my evidence is trying to employ people, trying to give people opportunity, and the attitudes of those people is that they are not ready for the world of work.
So, Wilfred, at a time when
I have children, and I know what their attitudes are like, and I know that any parent will tell you there comes a time when it's best for the child to be away from the home and to discover life away from mum and dad. Mum and dad are there to protect you. It's a haven for when things go wrong. To be brought up in that situation all the time is not a good balance.
At a time when the government is bending over backwards to protect pensioners, and I understand that. It's obviously partly a political motivation, but I do think pensioners should get protection. We're saying to young people that in your first year of being an adult, you need to be working for free. To me, this says the Conservatives have failed communities. They've failed in schools because children should have an idea of how to become an adult through their education.
Yes.
They've failed young people.
When I was young,
they failed in the military
when I
as
was
well,
young,
by the way.
When I was young, if you were a young kid, you had to go and do a paper round. The idea of working was so instilled that you're brought up with a better sense of what you need to do in society. So yes, you should be out at the age of 13, working, understanding that actually home is a protective environment. It's not a real.
You talked about university earlier, and you said, what about the people who don't go to university, who don't get a chance to learn how to be independent? That is what proper apprenticeships are for. We need to be investing in young people, not telling them that they need to work for free, otherwise their parents or they themselves will be in some way punished.
It's getting them away from home.
What a message to send people.
I want to go to the phones. Reg from Essex, what do you think? I mean, we're focusing particularly on the fact that parents could potentially be fined for their adult children refusing to do national service.
No, I think what should happen should be exactly what would happen in my day. When I got conscripted for national service, if I didn't attend, 2 red-capped military police would knock on my door, arrest me, and take me under arrest to the unit. I didn't have a choice whether it had nothing to do with my parents. It was me that got punished.
OK, can I ask what age you were when you got conscripted? Was it 18?
18.
OK, and when you got arrested and you were taken to the unit, so taken to the barracks or wherever it was that you would be serving your national service, what was the punishment there? Because James Cleverly has already ruled out any sort of jail or prison, so...
I don't know, because it didn't. I don't know for certain because it didn't happen to me. I like everybody else, attended when I got conscripted, but the punishments would have been jail for some undetermined period. I don't know exactly what the sentences were, but you were certainly punished if you didn't attend.
But Reg, our prisons are already full. So where are we going to put them?
Not prisons, they're military prisons.
OK, so they have to go to a military prison.
So we're going to criminalise our youth. There are 750,000 odd, or whatever it is, school leavers each year, Reg. The idea that if some of those don't turn up for their national service in whatever form that takes, that we are going to start them off as adults and label them as criminals, whether in military jails or other jails. This seems to me to be such a destructive way of encouraging young people into society.
But we're not talking about actually sending people to prison.
Oh, Reg is.
No. But look, what we're talking about is about actually instilling in young people discipline.
That should happen in schools.
Okay. No, but
Wilfred, how do you do that? If you're not going to fine the parents, because as Matt's rightly pointed out, at the age of 18, you're an adult, so why should your parents start to be punished for your behaviour? And if you're not going to jail them, James Cleverly's already ruled that out.
I'm not necessarily fining the parents is the right thing. What I don't want to get lost in this story is that actually some sort of national service is a good thing.
Okay,
that we start from that basis.
From that basis, if somebody refuses to do national service at the age of 18, what are the consequences?
Well, there should be a consequence. The consequences may be that, you get fined or actually...
So we're going to fine 18-year-olds.
Yes, I do.
Who are already
think
struggling.
So.
An 18-year-old has such a low opportunity to get onto the housing ladder in the first years.
This namby-pamby business.
That's not namby-pamby.
It's not namby-pamby.
We may have roofs over our head, but so many young people don't. So the idea that you've got to start them off, OK, we're not going to criminalise them, says James Cleverly, the Home Secretary, but you're suggesting we should fine them?
What I'm suggesting is
Have you any idea of how tough it is to be a young person today?
What I'm saying is, and it's about the way that they're going to manage in life is to understand that discipline is the most important thing. And if they don't get it at school and they don't get that at home...
Why aren't they getting it at school?
Well, it isn't the school's responsibility to discipline the child.
Of course it is.
It's a parent's
Both,
responsibility.
But certainly it is.
It's definitely
a fundamental part of going to school is to be understand discipline.
Back to calls. Judith from Somerset, how do you feel about the potential, I mean, this is all potential, isn't it, that parents could be fined for their children refusing to do some sort of national service?
I'm a great grandmother, and all my family, my brothers, my nephews, and my father were all military, and I grew up like that. But I can say you one thing: the young people of today are out of control, and I do think that if we brought this in, it wouldn't be detrimental. It would be instrumental in bringing some sort of helping our country and helping these youngsters.
So,
because
Judith,
there is no discipline.
When you say young people are out of control, they're drinking less than our generation, they're sleeping around less than our generation, they're working out more, they're eating more healthily than our generation. So at what point are they out of control? For the respect they first start, there is no respect for the elderly. It is almost as some of them have lost their way. There's also opportunities in the military that you don't get in civil life, and it will also enable them to have opportunities for work and being trained. There's so much to offer.
It's voluntary, Judith. It's really important because when we hear the words national service plucked out of the ether by our failing Prime Minister, in our view, most people think in terms of the military. It's only 30,000 of those 750-odd thousand school leavers who would go into the military, and they'd only go into the military if they actually volunteer.
If their volunteering is not out of the military, do tell me where they're going to go. Sorry, repeat that question again. If they're not going on military service, where are they going to go? Well, there's opportunities in community, whether it's maybe the police service, fire service,
the NHS,
the care service. Yeah, but there's very few. That the way that the opportunity to have those chances is very few. And when I see, and I live on a council estate, I see a lot of a drift into crime. Because there isn't anything really that they can go to. And there's so much that the military can offer them, and also the fact that it wouldn't, if they're not going into the military and they're going to do community service and things like that, I think it's great.
Judith, I want to get another quick call in, but just finally, because you have experience in this, you're clearly very keen on national service. If a child, 18-year-old, refused to do the national service, should the parents be fined, or what sort of punishment should be bestowed? Yes, I think they should be fined. Even for their adult children? Yes, I do. Okay, Judith, thank you for your call. James from Dorset, what's your view on this? Parents being fined for their 18-year-olds not doing something?
I don't think parents should be fined for it, but I think actually why are we waiting to 18-year-olds to try and instill some discipline and some respect within our children? Why are we waiting until they're 18 to do it? Well,
they might have respect and they might have a career waiting for them. They could have a university place waiting for them, and they're just conscientious objectors. What do you do then?
I think that's different. I think if someone's going 18 and they've got a full-time career to go into, or they've got a university place waiting for them, that's different. They're going out and they're making a difference. But
they could still do the weekend voluntary work. That wouldn't stop them from being able to do the weekend voluntary work, would it?
No, they should absolutely have to do that.
And if they don't do it, what happens?
Well, then they shouldn't the luxuries that come with being an adult in this country. You know, if you're out of work, you get job seekers allowance. I think they're not entitled to any form of benefit.
No, but we're talking about, James, you've got, sorry to interrupt, you've got, James, I'm talking about an 18-year-old girl, let's say she's doing a university degree, or she's about to launch into a university degree, and she is paying her own way. Maybe her parents are paying for her, but she's certainly not on benefits. She's a conscientious objector. She does not want to do the voluntary service that she's being asked and required to by the government. How are you going to punish that individual? You can't take away her benefits. She doesn't have any. Are you going to fine her parents? She's an adult and they're already paying for her. Or are you going to fine her? Well, she doesn't have a job, so where are you going to get the money? You're not going to send her to jail because James cleverly has said no. So how are you going to enforce that?
No, I don't think we should send her to jail. I think that's very, very different than. But why should she not contribute to society? She's happy to go and get a free doctor's appointment at the age of 18. I think personally, things shouldn't be handed to you on a plate. If you're going to if you've got a place in university and she's going to university and she's going to contribute to society, that's very different. But if you've got an 18-year-old that's at home that's left their college, they're not looking for a job, they're not going to university, they don't particularly want to do anything to help anyone else, but they're happy to have their free NHS appointment. They're happy to take their benefits when they're entitled to.
It sounds
they're
like
happy
you're
to phone the police when they need.
It sounds like, James, you're quite pro-national service, but for specific parts of society and specific people, not everybody, which is another way of doing it.
The principle is getting them away from home. That's the only way that you learn.